There is a battle you fight every single day. You don't see it with your eyes, but you feel it in your decisions, in your reactions, in your regrets. It's not the battle against society, not the battle against family, not even the battle against your enemies. It's the war happening inside you, the war against your inner child. That wounded, fearful, emotional version of you that refuses to grow up. The part of you that throws tantrums when things don't go your way, that panics when you're rejected, that shuts down when criticized. You felt it's those childish impulses that sabotage your progress, that drag you backward, that whisper, "You're not enough." But here's the truth. That inner child is not your enemy, it's your unhealed self. And unless you learn how to face it, heal it, and transform it, it will control your life like a puppeteer pulling strings. Every time you overreact, every time you procrastinate, every time you choose comfort over courage, that's your inner child taking charge. So ask yourself, how long will you allow a wounded child to steer the wheel of your destiny? How long will you let old scars decide your future? The time has come to reclaim your power. The time has come to confront that child, not to destroy it, but to guide it, discipline it, and transform it into strength. Because the moment you conquer your inner child is the moment you unlock unstoppable growth. This isn't about denying who you were. It's about rewriting the story, healing the child within so the adult in you can rise, controlling the emotions so they serve you, not enslave you, transforming pain into power, wounds into wisdom, and struggles into strength. This journey isn't easy, it demands courage, but it is the only path to becoming unshakable, unstoppable, unbreakable. What are the deep roots of the inner child, why it controls you, how it sabotages you, then how to discipline it, how to reclaim your authority, and finally, how to transform it into a source of power. This is not just self-help, this is survival. Because if you don't win this war, you'll keep losing battles in life. But if you do, if you conquer the child within you, won't just change your story, you'll change your entire destiny. Inside every adult lives the child they once were. That child does not vanish just because we grow older. It hides in our fears, it echoes in our insecurities, and it bursts out in our most irrational reactions. Think about it. The last time you got defensive, the last time you shut down after criticism, the last time you sabotaged an opportunity because you felt not good enough, that wasn't the rational, powerful you. That was your inner child speaking. The wounded version of you that never fully healed. But where does this child come from? It is born in your earliest experiences. As a child, you absorbed everything like a sponge, the words spoken to you, the actions around you, the love you received or didn't receive. If you were abandoned, your inner child carries the wound of abandonment. If you were criticized, your inner child learned shame. If you were neglected, it learned that you were invisible. And even if your childhood had moments of joy, there were still scars because no one escapes childhood without them. This child sits in your subconscious, and every time life triggers those old wounds, the child leaps out. It is why adults throw tantrums like kids when they don't get their way. It is why some chase validation endlessly, like children craving approval. It is why others run from responsibility, forever stuck in avoidance. The inner child, when unhealed, becomes a saboteur. But here's the crucial truth. The inner child is not evil, it is simply wounded. It cries out not because it wants to destroy you, but because it wants healing. Like a child pulling on a parent's sleeve, it acts out because it longs for attention. Ignoring it only makes it scream louder. Attacking it only deepens its fear. Healing is the first step. Because an unhealed child cannot be controlled, it must first be understood. Healing begins with recognition. You cannot heal what you deny. Too many people live in constant escape, distracting themselves with work, relationships, addictions, anything to avoid facing the child inside. But no matter how fast you run, the child keeps pace. The first act of power is to stop, turn around, and face it. Ask yourself, what wounds am I carrying? When did I first feel unworthy? When did I first feel abandoned? What patterns repeat in my life that trace back to those early years? This self-examination is not weakness, it is warfare. Because the greatest warriors are not those who conquer kingdoms, but those who conquer themselves. Next, you must give that inner child what it never received. Maybe it longed for love, maybe it longed for safety, maybe it longed for approval. As the adult you are now, you must provide it. This does not mean living in the past, it means rewriting it. When the child inside you trembles with fear, remind it we are safe now. When it feels worthless, affirm we are enough now. When it panics, soothe it with your own voice of authority. This is reparenting, becoming the strong guide that your younger self never had. Healing also demands forgiveness. Not the shallow forgiveness of words, but the deep release of chains. Forgiveness does not mean saying what happened was okay. It means saying, it will no longer control me. Some carry anger toward parents, teachers, or those who hurt them. But holding that anger feeds the inner child's pain. Forgiveness is not for them, it is for you. It is the key that unlocks your prison. And yet, healing is not only about soothing it, it is about taking responsibility. The child inside may have been a victim once, but if you allow it to rule your life, you become the jailer of your own destiny. Healing means acknowledging the wound, but refusing to let it define you. Yes, you were hurt. Yes, It shaped you. But no, it does not own you anymore. You are no longer the helpless child, you are the adult with power. Healing also requires patience. The child within does not transform overnight. It will resist, it will cry out, it will pull you back into old habits. But with consistency, the voice of the healed adult will grow louder than the cry of the wounded child. Each time you pause before reacting, each time you choose courage over fear, each time you affirm instead of criticize you or applying medicine to the wound, and little by little, the child begins to trust you. Think of it this way. Imagine carrying a crying child through a storm. At first the child kicks and screams, but if you keep holding it firmly, whispering words of strength, and walking through the storm without letting go, the child eventually quiets, rests, and trusts you. That is what healing the inner child feels like. At first, chaos, but in time, peace. And why must healing come before control? Because you cannot discipline a child who is terrified. You cannot demand obedience from a child who is bleeding. Healing builds the bond. Healing establishes trust. Only then can you move into control and transformation. Without healing, control becomes suppression, and suppression always explodes back into chaos. But with healing, control becomes guidance, and transformation becomes possible. Your inner child is not your enemy. It is your wounded self. And like all wounds, it cries until it is cared for. The moment you begin to face it, soothe it, forgive the past, and reparent it, you shift from being a victim of your past to the healer of your future. That is where true power begins. Healing the inner child is only the beginning. Once you understand it, soothe it, and begin reparenting it, the next stage is discipline. Because let's be clear, an undisciplined inner child will destroy your potential. It will wreck relationships, sabotage dreams, and keep you chained to patterns of weakness. Healing makes the child trust you. Discipline makes it obey you. Without both, transformation is impossible. Think of your inner child as raw energy. A fire. Left unchecked, fire burns down everything in its path. But when contained, directed and harnessed, that same fire cooks food, powers engines, lights cities. The inner child has that same raw power: emotions, instincts, imagination. But if you let it run wild, it consumes you. Discipline is the art of taking that fire and bending it toward purpose. The first step in discipline is awareness of triggers. Your inner child will try to hijack your mind in moments of stress, when criticized, when rejected, when told no. These are the moments it screams the loudest. If you are unaware, you react impulsively, you lash out, shut down, or sabotage yourself. But the disciplined warrior recognizes the trigger in real time. You pause, you breathe, you say, "This is the child speaking, not the adult me." That pause is power. That pause separates you from every person who remains a slave to their wounds. Next comes boundaries. Children, if left without rules, spiral into chaos. They need structure. Your inner child is no different. You must set rules for yourself, rules you refuse to break. Maybe it is a rule about how you respond to anger. Maybe it is a rule about how you handle failure. Maybe it is a rule about self-respect. The more consistent you are, the stronger your authority becomes. The child inside learns. We do not cross these lines. Without boundaries, life is chaos. With boundaries, life has order. Another discipline is delayed gratification. Children crave everything now: sweets, toys, attention. Adults with undisciplined inner children crave the same: quick dopamine, shortcuts, validation. But a disciplined mind sacrifices the now for the greater later. You must train your inner child to wait, to work, to earn. When you resist temptation and focus on long-term vision, you are not just saying no to a craving, you are saying yes to your future. Control also means reframing pain. Children fear discomfort. They want to escape it. But adults who master their inner child embrace pain as fuel. Every failure, every rejection, every struggle becomes a lesson. When your inner child says, "This hurts, let's quit," your adult self replies, "This is growth, let's continue." Pain becomes the forge. Discipline transforms it into strength. Another powerful tool of control is self-talk. Remember, your inner child listens to your words. If your voice is harsh, critical, or degrading, the child feels unsafe and reacts. But if your voice is firm, commanding, and empowering, the child obeys. Never confuse discipline with abuse. Discipline is not tearing yourself down, it is building yourself up with uncompromising clarity. Say to yourself, "We are stronger than this urge. We will endure, we will rise." Words shape reality. Use them as weapons. Visualization is another weapon. Children respond to imagination more than logic. The same is true for your inner child. Create mental images of your higher self, the disciplined, powerful version of you. Each time the child rebels, hold that vision in your mind and remind it, "This is who we are becoming." Visualization trains the subconscious. Over time, the inner child begins to align with the image you feed it. But discipline is not only internal, it is external. Environment shapes behavior. If your surroundings feed the inner child's weaknesses, constant distractions, toxic relationships, environments of chaos, then discipline becomes nearly impossible. You must create an environment of order. Surround yourself with people who uplift. spaces that inspire, habits that reinforce strength. Structure is not a prison, it is protection. Now comes responsibility. Children avoid it, adults embrace it. To discipline your inner child, you must demand responsibility in every area of life. Stop blaming circumstances, parents, or the past. Yes, they shaped you, but now you are in command. Responsibility is the crown of discipline. Each time you choose ownership over blame, you silence the child and empower the adult. Consistency is the ultimate test. Anyone can discipline themselves for a day. True transformation happens when discipline becomes a lifestyle. This means daily rituals, waking with purpose, setting intentions, keeping promises to yourself. Each small act compounds. The child inside slowly learns. This is how we live now, and eventually, what once felt forced becomes natural. Finally, remember this. Discipline is love in its highest form. Not soft, indulgent love, but strong, guiding love. Think of a parent who refuses to let their child fall into destruction. That is what you must be for yourself. Discipline is not punishment, it's protection. Each time you enforce it, you are saying to your inner child, I will not let you ruin us. I will not let you waste us. I will guide us toward greatness. Healing makes your inner child trust you. Discipline makes it follow you. With healing and discipline combined, the child no longer rules you, it serves you. And when the child's energy is harnessed, directed, and disciplined, it becomes the fire that fuels your destiny, instead of the fire that burns it down. But this is not the end, this is the rebirth. Because when the inner child is healed and disciplined, what emerges is not just a better version of you. What emerges is your true self, unshackled, unstoppable, unbreakable. Think of the greatest achievers, leaders, creators, warriors throughout history. They all had an inner child just like you, wounded, afraid, rebellious. The difference is, they didn't let it rule them, they transformed it. They turned fear into courage, pain into purpose, rejection into fuel. And you can do the same. The journey is not about killing the child within, it's about elevating it. The innocent wonder, the creativity, the raw fire of that child are gifts, but left unhealed, they become chains. Once healed and disciplined, they become wings. Imagine living with the curiosity of a child, but the wisdom of an adult, the fire of youth, but the discipline of a warrior. That is power, that is freedom. But here's the truth, you must choose this transformation daily. Healing is not a one-time event. Discipline is not a single decision. They are practices, repeated again and again, until they fuse into your identity. Every day you will hear the voice of the child inside, sometimes whispering fear, sometimes demanding comfort. And every day you must rise, look it in the eye, and say, I hear you, I heal you, but I lead now. And when you do, something extraordinary happens. The patterns that once trapped you, sabotage, fear, insecurity, begin to dissolve. You stop living as a victim of your past, and you start living as the architect of your future. The energy that once burned you begins to build you. The voice that once pulled you back begins to push you forward. The inner child no longer chains you, it fuels you. And you realize, the scars you carry are not weaknesses, but weapons. The very pain that once held you back becomes the foundation of your power. So stand tall, speak to the child within, tell it, thank you for surviving, thank you for your fire. But the throne belongs to me now. Together we rise, but I will lead us forward. Because the truth is this, you are not the wounded child you once were. You are not the chaos you once lived in. You are not the past that tried to define you. You are the adult who healed, who disciplined, who transformed. And that makes you unstoppable. This is your time. Heal the child, discipline the child, lead the child. And then watch as you become the warrior, the creator, the unshakable force you were always meant to be.